The new year arrived, not with celebration, but with the deafening roar of flames and the acrid smell of smoke. Los Angeles, the city of angels, found itself engulfed in a fiery inferno, a scene straight out of a disaster film. Wildfires, fueled by drought and driven by relentless winds, tore through neighborhoods, leaving a trail of devastation in their wake. The sky, once a brilliant blue, turned a sickly orange as ash rained down like a macabre snowfall. This was not just a natural disaster, it was a catastrophe of unprecedented proportions. The scale of the destruction was staggering, with entire communities reduced to smoldering ruins. Homes, businesses, and cherished memories were consumed by the relentless flames. The human cost was immeasurable, with lives lost and countless others forever scarred by the trauma of those terrifying days. As the fires raged, a sense of disbelief and helplessness gripped the city. Residents watched in horror as the flames advanced with terrifying speed, forcing them to flee their homes with little more than the clothes on their backs. The air was thick with smoke, making it difficult to breathe, and the constant roar of the fire was a terrifying reminder of the power of nature's fury. This was not the first time Los Angeles had faced the threat of wildfires, but the intensity and ferocity of these blazes were unlike anything seen before. The fires of January 2025 would forever be etched in the city's memory, a stark reminder of the growing threat of climate change and the urgent need for action. Multiple fires, each with its own name and grim toll, converged to create a perfect storm of destruction. The Palisades Fire, the most destructive in LA County history, carved a path of destruction through the affluent neighborhood of Pacific Palisades, turning luxury homes into piles of ash. It consumed nearly 20,000 acres, leaving behind a scene of utter devastation. To the north, the Eaton Fire raged through Altadena, claiming 5 lives and scorching over 13,000 acres. The Hearst Fire, though smaller in size, threatened communities in the foothills, while the Kenneth Fire and the Lydia Fire added to the inferno, stretching firefighting resources thin. Each fire had its own character, its own path of destruction, but they were all united by their ferocity and the speed with which they spread. Driven by the relentless Santa Ana winds, the flames jumped highways and fire breaks, overwhelming even the most seasoned firefighters. The fires burned with an intensity that defied description, leaving behind a trail of charred earth and twisted metal. The sheer number of fires and their geographic spread made the situation even more challenging to manage. From the coast to the foothills, Los Angeles was under siege by a relentless enemy. The fires burned for days, defying efforts to contain them, and leaving behind a city reeling from the scale of the disaster. The wildfires were not merely a random act of nature, they were the result of a confluence of factors, some natural, some man-made. Southern California had been in the grip of a prolonged drought, the worst in over a century. Months without significant rainfall had turned the once lush hillsides into tinderboxes, primed for ignition. Then came the Santa Ana winds, those infamous dry hot gusts that sweep down from the desert, carrying with them the potential for disaster. This time the winds were particularly fierce, reaching speeds of up to 100 miles per hour. They whipped the flames into a frenzy, driving them across the parched landscape with astonishing speed. The combination of drought and wind created the perfect conditions for a firestorm. But there was another factor at play, one that loomed large over the disaster: climate change. Scientists have long warned that a warming planet would lead to more extreme weather events, including more frequent and intense wildfires. The fires that ravaged Los Angeles were a grim validation of those warnings. The drought, the winds, the very air itself seemed supercharged by the effects of climate change. The flames were a terrifying manifestation of the new reality we have created, a world where natural disasters are becoming more common and more destructive. For years, scientists have warned that climate change would lead to more extreme weather events, including more frequent and intense wildfires. The fires that ravaged Los Angeles in January 2025 were a stark reminder of the consequences of our inaction. The link between climate change and the wildfires was undeniable. The prolonged drought that had gripped California for years, turning vegetation into tinder, was exacerbated by rising temperatures. The Santa Ana winds, while a natural phenomenon, were intensified by changes in atmospheric circulation patterns linked to climate change. The very air itself, hotter and drier due to global warming, acted as an accelerant, fueling the flames. The fires were a wake-up call, a terrifying glimpse into the future that awaits us if we fail to address the climate crisis. They were a reminder that climate change is not some distant threat. It is here, it is now, and it is already having devastating consequences. The science is clear. Unless we take drastic action to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, we can expect to see more extreme weather events, more wildfires, more droughts, and more disasters like the one that unfolded in Los Angeles. The time for denial is over, the time for action is now.